series where we answer your most frequently asked questions. Okay, so I have a challenge for you because this is a frequently asked question. Can you describe power fundamentals in 60 seconds?
All right, here goes. Power fundamentals is part of AzTech International University. It starts with, not shown here is discovery, where we'll do a knowledge gap assessment of the entire team of learners. Then we do what is EV, where we cover some very basic terminology and some metrics and such data elements. We talk about risk management, which we think is fundamental to EV. Then we go through these 12 modules, basically baseline, how to baseline a program, establish your cost schedule and technical baseline, track performance, import or collect actuals. We have a planning for non-planners workshop. We cover how to do forecasts or estimates to complete, variance analysis, baseline changes, how to write a good variance analysis report. We look at data and metrics and reporting, and then we talk about surveillance and compliance for keeping a healthy system. And finally, we end with the Awesome Analyst Workshop with tips, tricks, and traps to become an awesome analyst.
Well done. For which roles is Power Fundamentals actually designed for?
Okay, so it's really for the whole spectrum of roles in the earned value management system. So you might have different names in your company, but we're going to be talking about the program manager, project manager, control account managers, finance, business, project controls, analysts, those folks, scheduling or planning or scheduling professionals, supply chain or purchasing folks as well, and sometimes folks that are involved with, say, material management or hardware. That's another type. So basically, all of those key roles that you would expect to have on a project, we invite them all to the training. We think it's the mixed bag of different role types really enhances the learning, and we do role playing as well during the different core modules and workshops. We'll do some role playing. It's very intentional because it gets you out of your comfort zone and helps you see the work or the problems from another person's eyes. So we really encourage that.
Does this still work if I have, let's say, just a very specific group of CAMs and I just want them to go through it?
Yeah, absolutely. If you have a group of CAMs that are on the same team and or even if they're on different programs, if it were only CAMs, the nice thing about that, I will say, even as much as it's really great to have a mixed team of roles and skill types, CAMs have their own unique take on things, and I think it's a really good opportunity to say some behind the scenes tips, tricks, and traps that CAMs encounter, some of the challenges and frustrations that CAMs encounter, because let's face it, sometimes being a CAM is a tough role. And it's tough in many ways. You're pulled in many directions. You've got different priorities, and you sometimes have to make EV important for different days of the month when we really need your input. So I think it can make for a really interesting CAM only training. So we're going to work that way, or can also work with a mixed program team as well.
So sometimes we hear that people can't send everyone from the program to training at the same time. So what's the solution to that?
Well, we definitely encourage getting everybody in the room at the same time. It's worth it. It's one of those slow down, I'm in a hurry, or pause and get it right type of moments, right, on a project, to get everybody trained at the same time and everyone level set as much as you can. Of course, we know it's a challenge. So getting everyone in the room sometimes entails inviting other programs, which is actually a really cool benefit that comes out of that, is that you're going to have different programs talking about the unique scenarios to their programs. So to the extent that it's possible to mix programs, knowing that there are challenges with CUI and security and whatnot, we can do program agnostic training, essentially, because it is power fundamentals that apply across any program, classified, unclassified, doesn't matter. We're not using real data in these. We're using sample data, so there's no worry about that. If there are times when people want to make a very specific question, of course, we can caveat that to people who will maybe not talk about certain things that they can't discuss with other programs. But I really encourage having a mixed bag of people in all ways, meaning skill levels, roles, and also different programs. It does make for a more interesting learning experience.
How might Power Fundamentals benefit EVMS compliance and surveillance professionals?
If your organization has folks who do internal surveillance, for example, or maybe have an audit team, or you just have folks on the project sort of doing self-assessments of either monthly health checks and so forth. What the benefit I think for Power Fundamentals is it gets everybody level set with terminology, concepts, and ways to talk about EV. Two, I think that in the best surveillance and compliance that I've seen, it's more of a coaching and mentoring approach, and you might even rotate over into training even. So when you're a professional in that world, you're working with different programs, different roles like CAMs and control account managers and analysts, and schedulers, program managers, and there's an art to knowing how to talk to these different roles and to convey the importance of something. Okay, so I think what Power Fundamentals does for folks in that surveillance and compliance world is gets them all on the same page with how to talk to it. It gives them some tricks on how to talk to it in a more I'm going to say making the complex simple is one of our mottos. So it'll help you to convey why things matter, why something is non-compliant and why that matters, why some metrics are more important than others, and why it's so important to us to have valid, credible, meaningful data and not just a report. So all of those bundled together make it a nice way to round out your knowledge as a compliance and surveillance professional.
What is available within AzTech International University for somebody or maybe a team of people who are being onboarded and know nothing about EV?
Okay, that's a very good question, because these days with baby boomers retiring and the turnover that exists in our industry, and just the fact that we have new hires coming in, it's important to get those folks trained up. So certainly the Power Fundamentals is a key set of courses and modules and workshops that we highly recommend. But we do have a module we call Intro to EV. The subtitle is A Tale of Two Projects. So we have a little fun with this one. What we did is we said, imagine two project program managers. We've got Ethan and Evelyn, and they both have a certain amount of knowledge, but one of them is going to manage a project using EV and the other one is not. So what you get to do is walk through this story and see some different techniques that are used, some things that work and don't work, and you get a chance to get exposed to some basic terminology, basic formulas, and basic concepts through the course of this story. The cool thing about this, what I think is really unique, is that you can do this on your own. So I wouldn't call this e-learning for sure, because
I recall that's probably a sort of like a 1 hour to 90-minute read ahead, and then you sort of schedule then your mentoring, which is sort of like another 45 minutes afterwards.
Right, because I think the important thing with that kind of learning is that there's a certain self-paced element to it, but it's pretty quick. So we're talking about an hour and a half. They can slowly walk through at their own pace. They can read through it, go backwards, go forward, double check their knowledge, look at the quiz questions, go backward and understand why they might have gotten wrong. And it lets you just sort of go at your own pace. And then the debrief is the important part, again, to lock into learning. It makes, because remember, what we're trying to do with AIU is make EV sticky. We want the terms and concepts to be as sticky as possible so you remember them later. So that debrief portion at the end of it is really important. It's more of a mentor moment, if you will, because you're talking to someone who knows EV, and you're able to ask any questions that you had while you were looking through it, anything that puzzled you, and maybe you have questions about how that's used at the company and so forth.
So within AIU, I've heard that there is an intro to EV, the Tale of Two Projects, which is for somebody who knows nothing. Then there's Power Fundamentals, which is the 10 modules and 3 workshops. That is very much this, as in the title, it's a fundamental program, but it can be for all levels actually, because it helps everyone get on the same page. But I also am aware that there are advanced workshops as well. So what's really the difference between the advanced workshops and those other training tools?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. Advanced workshops in our terminology would be Typically with real data, so it was real program data, if possible. We know that that can sometimes be a challenge. So if it's not real data, sometimes we'll do some sanitized data, but it's real data, but it's been sanitized. And then the third option would be just some sample data, some let's call it dummy data. But the idea is to try to make it as real as possible. In this one, I would say it's advanced because we're no longer worried about learning fundamentals. We're going to jump right into the more detailed, deeper dive into this topic. So examples could be, we have a workshop called speed dating, where you can establish the key handoffs or interfaces in your integrated master schedule. So that's a proper workshop, facilitated workshop to help get that to happen. So it's a key thing for an integrated baseline review or for establishing your baseline. And then we have other workshops on quantifiable backup data, ways to improve your quantifiable backup data. Some people call them % complete objective. So that's also really important. And sometimes for material, managing material or hardware. So there's just a series of workshops. Those are the ones that you can kind of choose from a la carte, if you will, and see which ones are important for your team. And they may also come at different seasons, right? It may be in the beginning of your project, you could need one of these workshops. And then later, once you've got an established cadence, you may say, we could really work on improved variance analysis, or a deeper dive into analyzing price and usage variance or rate and usage variance. So it's going to be advanced topics that we cover there.
So Louis, here's another question. We have an upcoming IBR. What training might you have for that?
You could argue that in Power Fundamentals, because we have a really robust baseline module that's broken up into 3 parts, that would help to get you ready for an IBR, and it certainly would. But we do also have a IBR 101 workshop, which is very focused on getting ready for an IBR, the importance of an IBR. It's an integrated baseline review. And what are the artifacts we have to gather up, and how do we prepare the team to get through it successfully? So IBR 101 workshop, I think I really recommend for folks who have a targeted need to get ready for such a big process. Okay. And we also have IBR flashcards. So these are basically questions. It's from a library of questions that are commonly asked. And those are helpful to get the control account managers and the rest of the team ready for an integrated baseline review, so they can answer questions that might come from either the prime contractor or the US government or whoever your customer is. So it will help the team get ready. So that's a bit of self-learning or self-paced learning, really. And we usually, everything that we do, there's nothing that we do that's full on e-learning. So this would still be facilitated and debriefed after both the workshop and also the flashcards.
Does AzTech International University have tool training?
So to summarize, we try to be a tool agnostic company. We do have some of our favorite tools out there, I will say that. So we have some biases, but and some tools we're better with than others. But basically, we can do tool-specific training for things like Microsoft Project, Primavera P6 for scheduling. It could be for Cobra, for Empower, for Project, which is an excellent cost engine that we work with. There's things like Full Monty for schedule risk assessments. There's also SSI tools, and For Project also has a schedule analyzer, which I think is excellent. So we also have some tools that we've developed that are part of our toolkit or part of our consulting toolkit. And we also have customers who really enjoy using them, and they find them really beneficial. So we'll do training on those as well. Those are not part of the Power Fundamentals. Those would be our either workshops or just tool-specific training. We really, like I said, try to stay tool agnostic, pick the best of the breed, and also we realize that companies select different tools for different reasons. And it's usually a very passionate decision around software. So we really try to stay open-minded about it. And so again, to answer your question, we absolutely offer custom tool training on most of the commonly used tools out there.
Thank you. For more answers to your questions, please visit our website, goaztech.com.